Well, a lot is happening in the QSR space, it seems. And of course, it's a good time to think about ordering in the year-end time. So we thought, why not welcome Sanjay Purohit of Sapphire Foods, the group CEO there, to talk to us about how things are shaping up and what's happening on the ground. Sanjay, hi. Thank you so much for making time and speaking with us. And that's exactly the first question. Do you think Q3 has panned out any better? Because there were high hopes from the World Cup, from a lot of festivities, but it's been a bit of a damn squib. One can say that.
Yeah, firstly, lovely to speak to you, Anisha, as always. So thank you for having me on your show. When we look at quarter three, I think all of us were living in a bit of hope, saying that post-Diwali, we should start to see consumer demand picking up. But I think it's not worsened, it has not improved. And perhaps this has been the trend for the last 3 or 4 quarters. We are still hoping that the balance part of the year will go down quite well. So all that we can do is prepare as well as we can. There's a big movie launch also happening tomorrow, day after. So I think the portents are good. Let's see how the rest of the calendar year pans out.
Sanjay, thanks for joining us. Ajay also joining in here. You know, we are a very big fan of your company, not only your products, but also your stock price. I remember discussing within the team when your Sri Lanka issues were dragging the stock lower to almost 1250, 1300. Look at the way how it has come back now, and especially the offerings at KFC and Pizza Hut. They, pack such a big value in it that I'm sure it's giving a lot of competition hard time. But hard time, it appears, seem to be for the entire industry. Some of your peers too, within other categories, some burger companies, some pizza companies, one is not getting the same confidence from the entire sector regarding the demand front. And this at a time when urban cities, the larger cities, are seeing massive footfalls in malls, etc. What exactly is going wrong over there? Is it heightened competition? Is it consumer inflation which is keeping footfalls out of your restaurant? What exactly is the sore point?
So Ajay, actually, we only look at the past couple of quarters and therefore derive conclusions out of it. I've been in the consumer space for now more than 30 years. It sort of tells you what my age is also, which I shouldn't have done so. But, on another note, this is what we see in India, that you'll have a couple of years of absolutely fantastic growth and then a couple of quarters where growth might be muted. But the long-term trajectory, I think, is on an upward trend. And this is exactly what we are seeing today. So we've had, coming out of COVID, we had 2 or 3 years where the growth prospects were really powerful, and then perhaps the last 3 or 4 quarters have been a little muted. But long term, we have to believe that the QSR space is still at a nascent stage. As per capita GDP improves, this results in exponential growth of eating outside home food. So all the macros are certainly there. I think it's just a period of muted growth that we are seeing, perhaps due to a little bit of consumer inflation that we saw last year. But I think it will start to improve, fairly soon.
Sure, hoping for that, Sanjay. But does that mean that in the medium term, you're looking at scaling back some of your expansion plans? Because Pizza Hut in the last quarter was quite dismal, to be honest, with the kind of SSSg performance that we saw. Does it mean that right now you're going a bit slower on Pizza Hut and maybe focusing a bit more on KFC? I know it's like choosing your favorite child, but nonetheless.
No, so you're bang on with your articulation there, Anisha. I think one of the things that we tell our investors to remember about Sapphire Foods is that we are very careful on capital allocation. And so capital allocation is really a factor of how the brands are performing and whether we are able to deliver the kind of paybacks on our new store expansion. At this moment, KFC still is going really strong. We've had our best ever half, perhaps, both from a revenue growth perspective as well as from a EBITDA margin perspective. So there is no holding back on KFC expansion. the last 3 or 4 quarters on Pizza Hut undoubtedly have been disappointing on the brand. We've got to work on building greater level of consideration, greater level of repeat users. And indeed, that's the plan. But for the moment, I think we will scale down on expansion on Pizza Hut. And as we are able to correct this, this momentum, I think we'll get back to expansion.
Right. Sanjay, despite of what is happening, I completely take your point that near-term growth may be looking muted, but look at the quality of players who are coming in and absorbing the block which just came. The long-term players, right, who are looking at participating in your 3 to 5 year story. I want to understand the street believes that 23 to 26 period can be a 24-25% kind of a CAGR period on your EBITDA front. Are you sticking? Is that a fair estimate to make despite of all this near-term sobering growth?
So well said, Ajay. I think we've got to look at India over longer periods of time rather than quarters. In December 21, I think we gave a simple guidance that over the next 3-4 years, so say till end of 25, we should be able to double our store count, grow revenue by about 25% and grow EBITDA by about 30%. Years where we outpace this, there will be years where we are slower than this guidance. But I think over a 3-4 year period, we should be able to hope, or we should be able to deliver this expectation.
Sanjay, since we talked about the block deal that happened yesterday, 6% equity changed hands. Of course, the likes of GIC and the Singapore government, etc., have come in. But is there any such block further on the table?
Yeah. So I think there are 2 parts to this, which I just look at really positively. That over the last year and a half, there's been good demand from long-term institutional investors in the Sapphire food story, and perhaps today, investors are starting to understand that we bring a different story to the market. We are a professionally managed company, professionally owned. There are a clear set of operational, executional metrics that we try and drive within our business, high on values, high on governance, and therefore institutional investors like Wellington Management, HDFC Mutual Fund, whom we have met for a long period of time, and they've come in a big way. GIC continues to build their portfolio. I think it's only really positive news for the organization and for the team that is trying to deliver according to investor expectations.
Sure, and those expectations just keep on going higher, Sanjay, and I hope you keep delivering. But talking about the international operations, we are speaking at the time when Devyani has just announced their foray into the Thailand market as well with their KFC acquisition of around 300 odd stores. You already have a presence in Sri Lanka, which is stabilizing and now recovering. Anything more on the anvil for you? Are you looking at expanding your geographical presence as well?
So it's there are always things that we are looking at, Nisha, but there's really nothing concrete that I can share with you right now. And kudos to Devyani on their Thailand deal.
Fair enough, but Sanjay, talk to us about the raw material situation as well. Last time we spoke, you were saying that cheese prices were higher. There was a lot of headwind on the inflation side, but things seem to be stabilizing a bit. Is that something that will support the margins in Q3, Q4, you believe?
So the last 6-7 months, we've seen raw material inflation being controlled. In fact, we've had a marginal deflation compared to last year. If I compare to 2 years previously, there is still high inflation. But just compared to last year, inflation is well under control. That's led to gross margin expansion, and we've come back to, say, 22, 23 levels of gross margin on both KFC, Pizza Hut. I don't think things are changing too dramatically from the last quarter or the last 2 quarters.
But Sanjay, before I let you go, if you can help us with some clarity on this. Of course, KFC has been reporting flattish kind of SSSg growth for the last 3 quarters. Pizza Hut has been seeing a decline for 4 quarters. When do we see a positive number?
I wish I could tell you I would be Nostradamus.
2 quarters, any kind of timeline, Sanjay?
Yeah. But I would think, and again, I'm going back on my past experience, when things like this happen, perhaps towards the April-June quarter, I think things should start to see improvement. But really, and I just want to underline this as a last statement, we are not looking at the market and crying about it. I think there is opportunity for a company like Sapphire Foods. With our execution, we'll be well prepared when the market turns. And there's lots of action on both KFC and Pizza Hut.
On that positive note, Sanjay, we'll let you go. Thanks so much for making time and speaking with us, and holiday greetings from ET Now.
And Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance to the two of you and to all ET Now viewers. God bless.
Thanks so much,
Thank you
Sanjay.
very much, Sanjay.